So when I hear the description of what we're going to talk about today, it does sound awfully boring, and I apologize for that. But that's part of what we want to talk about is why does something so cool and complex sound so terribly boring to people like you guys? And I think the big reason for that is that we're just jaded by it. We hear about this all the time, and it sounds like it's beyond our understanding. And the regular business people kind of get turned off by it. Some people, their jobs and lives are dedicated to this, but I doubt that any of you in the audience are sitting there saying, if I miss this presentation today, I'm not going to be able to go home and feel good about myself. Well, hopefully I can change that perspective a little bit, because I think this is one of the most important things that we're going to deal with possibly in our lifetimes in terms of business. And we'll start by talking about why this is important. So I have a very captive, full audience right now, and I'd like to ask you guys, name a hack that you've heard of. Somebody that's been hacked. Target. Yahoo. Aunt Sally. You know, we all know either somebody or a business that has been victim of a hack. And we think about it. So we heard Target. Does anybody know how Target got hacked? Vendor. But do we know how they actually got in? Sony. How did they actually get in and get the information? But like how? Really, what did they do? To say like, oh, they hacked somebody's email, but what did they do? Did they get their password? Did they steal their password? So that's what I want to break down here, because I think we're turned off by not understanding all those pieces, and when we can't connect all the pieces in the puzzle, then it's still just it's a scattered table of information, and we can't consume it the right way. So if we break this down in the way that we understand, how do people actually get into businesses? Maybe we'll care more about it, and we can understand the impact that it actually has and where our vulnerabilities are. Now, there's no way in hell we can do that in 20 minutes. But I'm going to give it my best shot to break this down, give you guys the best information I can, and hopefully it's not too fast-paced, even though some of my slides get a little busy. So I'll ask a silly question just to get you guys to raise your hands. Who works for a business? Great, everybody's employed. Things are looking good so far. Who here has knows your information security policy for your business? Off by heart. And all the things in it, right? You don't care. Because you're sales reps or you're product managers, you have or even an admin, you have all these different jobs. You don't care about the security because it's not your job to care about the security. Now, the problem with this is that security is actually every single one of us. So if we look at security, when I say hackers versus your business, businesses are us. We are the business. If you take all the employees out, the business falls apart. So we need to understand our role in that as well. Just because we're not IT directors doesn't mean we don't have a significant role in the security of our business. So why do hackers care about getting into our business? And this can all be applied personally as well. And it's because they can make money. So we don't have enough time to talk today, but there's some great articles on how hackers make money. When you get malware on your computer, it's not just because somebody really doesn't like you. It's because they want your credit card information and they want their bank account to fill up with your money. Why do businesses care about this? It's because if you don't care about this, it will happen. There's no exceptions. And if you've been in business long enough, you have probably seen it to some degree, whether it's just a website being hacked, ransomware, internal disgruntled employees, whatever it may be. But it will happen to you, and it could bury your business. So how many people here work for a company with less than 100 employees? Those companies do not have the bank accounts ready to front the bill for how bad this can get. And if this is a business risk to you, it should be one of your priorities. Now, even the bigger companies, I mean, the Target hack cost them so much money, even just beyond their reputation, just to stop the bleeding and to pay the fines and recover the data. I mean, we're talking, they could have built hospitals and schools with that money, but instead, they had to do it to save their business. So 71% of data breaches are small business. So this is from a Verizon study. When we're talking about defining small business in this statistic, it's under 100 employees. So That's why I asked that question. Think about that. 71% of data breaches every year come from small businesses. Every single person in this audience except one raised their hand that they belong in a small business. So out of 10 of you, 7 of you will experience a hack at some point this year. Why do hackers care about that? Small businesses are easy targets. Everybody that raises their hand, you now work for a business that doesn't have extra money to invest into preventing hacks and stopping this kind of activity. So if you don't have the resources, you're not preventing them from getting in, and they know that you're an easier target. So it's a much better, higher level chance of success. A lot of times when we talk about hacking, there's specific targeted hacking, but the thing that really makes a lot of the money is when you just shotgun approach, right? We're going to hack everybody that we can, and then you know what? If 3 out of 20,000 pay off, that's fine because I'll still make 10 grand. 36K in damages. So this is the average cost of an incident when you total up whether money they stole, recovering, building up your infrastructure, the employee time. Every incident costs 36 grand. That's a really nice Kia Optima. So think about that. If that happens twice, we just lost 2 Kia Optimas. Or maybe a BMW if you had them both together. Does anybody here have 36 grand they just want to burn? Oh, he does. We know that guy does. So I'm not going to get into this because of time constraints, but we think of this as all just annoying stuff or another news story, but they can make over $100,000 a month doing this. I mean, it's so appealing that now that I say it out loud, I'm questioning why I'm on this stage instead of behind my computer on the other side. But, I mean, it really pays to do this. Now, there's tons of risk involved with it, but they don't care, and typically they're not down the street from you anyway, so it's, they get that protection of being behind a computer. No one is safe. We talked about that. They're going to hack you. You don't stand a chance, so just accept it now and be proactive about it, and we're going to talk about how we can do that rather than reactive, because it always costs more when we're trying to fix it later rather than up front. And I put a 100% chance of success because they're going to win. If they have the right hacking plan in place, they will hack somebody and they will get paid for it. There's no way to stop them. So they're going to keep hacking businesses and they'll never stop. And it's worse now than ever before. How many people watch the presidential debate? I'm going to bring politics into this right now. Yeah, push my agenda on you guys. No, but one of the questions in the first debate was, what's your cybersecurity plan? This is a problem that the United States government is struggling with. What are we going to do to prevent people from hacking us? You have email hacks from foreign entities that's goal is to change the outcome of elections for our company, or our nation. And that's insane. Think about the world we live in right now. People on the other side of the world that have political interests to steer our debates and how our elections turn out are using cybersecurity flaws against us. So if the United States government can't stop this, the chances of your small business stopping this are very small. Let's talk about how they get in. And this is going to be a heavy slide. We're going to kind of go through this because the fun part is next. But I want to expose you guys to a lot of information here. Don't think too hard about it. I'm going to go through 10 ways that they get in, even though there's a lot more. Servers. How many of you have a business that have a server that they use, right? I mean, not everybody anymore, because sometimes they're Google servers instead of ours. So if you have a server, servers can be hacked. I mean, that's exactly what they do is they serve, and that means they allow people in and out. And if somebody can get in there, they can hack it and exploit it. Wi-Fi vulnerabilities. This is a problem for every business because it's not just is your Wi-Fi secure, is all Wi-Fi secure that all of your employees use, and I can guarantee it's not. If you're on Wi-Fi here or the Starbucks across the street, it's not secure. Phishing and social engineering. And when we do the long talk, I mean, we're taking a 90-minute conversation right now and boiling it down to 20. We talk a lot about phishing because it is getting so good that it can be very dangerous. And it's funny because anytime you see a presentation like this, they show you the email, and we've done it. We show the email of, hey, some prince from India is giving you $2 billion. All you have to do is just fill out this form. It's not that anymore. It's targeted and it's sophisticated. So there's two terms you have to remember that we're not going to get into. It's whaling and spear phishing. So phishing has evolved into these very specific ways of attacking. Whaling is when you go after C-level executives, high-level people, people that can cut a check for $10,000 and not think about it, and they use their phishing attacks that way. Spear phishing is just anybody that I take a very specific approach to. So it's no longer, hey, fill out this form and get $2 billion from this prince. It's, hey, John, it's Mike. Can you Western Union me some money? I'm on vacation this week. Because they shot me an email and it bounced back that I was on vacation. They know John is also in my organization, so they can target John with information they got from me for free and ask him to wire me cash. And it pays off. That extra, they're realizing, hey, if we don't send out emails with a ton of typos in it, maybe people will actually start falling for this stuff, and they do. Planting code within web forms. How many businesses have a website? Okay, let's wait until everybody raised their hand, because if you don't have a website, you should not be at this trade show. Look, you have a contact form on us. I can get into that. And when I hack your business, it doesn't mean I'm inside your systems. I could just be on your website that's hosted by GoDaddy, because now if I can steal your traffic and redirect them to what I want, then that's going to pay off. And you might not even know they're doing it, because they can manipulate it in ways that you'll never find it. Your visitors don't even know it's happening. But on Google, when I search for Viagra, I'm finding your business. Or when I search for your business, I'm finding Viagra, because that's how they're routing the traffic. Now, depending on what kind of business you're in, I might find your business if I search for Viagra, but we'll talk about that. All right, so it's not even just our websites. We're all computer users. We go to websites constantly. So when I go to other websites, if they're infected, then I'm at risk, because a website that I trust, I go to my bank every day. If they're hacked, then that's going to get downloaded to my computer, and that malware is going to be accessible. Stealing passwords. And this is one I feel like has just been beat to death since the 90s. But you're going to see on a few slides down, this is actually a serious problem. There are so many people, professionals, people that you respect and think are the smartest people in your organization, and their password is still password, or 123456, or the W, right? We've all seen it. And that is such a vulnerability for us, and it puts us in danger. Now, especially when you have people that are in our business that are too busy to really care about the IT stuff, right? My CEO doesn't need to care about IT stuff. He needs to worry about running our business. So he has a simple password because he doesn't want extra information. But when you have simple passwords, especially at a high level like that, it causes problems. I'm going to talk on a few slides down about that, but passwords are way easier to steal than you think. Even though they're encrypted, there are certain algorithms and mannerisms that people use that, success rates of up to 60% can be used to just hack accounts. Stealing IDs from third parties. So part of our training that we offer is that we talk about trusting your vendors. Everybody does business with everybody. If they're not secure, you're not secure. So you see something now. Does anybody do business with Fortune 500 at all? Fortune 1000? Does anybody do business with people with a lot of money? How about that? They get to a point where they're making so much money that they realize, hey, if I do business with this guy, even if it's a small deal for a couple $1,000s a year, if he gets hacked, I can get hacked because he has this access to the system, even if it's just an email account. And now he's going to sink our ship, and we're going to lose millions of dollars because of this $3,000 deal. So vetting your vendors is extremely important. Hijacking email accounts. And this is one that, again, it's easy to abuse because I can find out things about you. Where did you grow up? Where did you live? I can see your history of your address. And you know what? Maybe I know you. Maybe I know that your first dog was named Fluffy. So when I go onto your bank account and I start resetting your password because I know your dog was named Fluffy and the street you grew up was Braddock Avenue, trying to change my answers so you guys don't hack my stuff. When I know that information, I can get your password and reset it for myself. And we're actually going to talk about that in a second in the example I'm going to give you. Flash drives. And this is one that people don't think about. I could be handing out flash drives to everybody here. Hey, check out information security education. Here's a free flash drive. There could be files on there that you can't see when you plug it into your computer. They can infect you, and they can infect everybody on your network in seconds. I might do that, and then I'm going to drive you guys to my website after that. Like, hey, cure this. But that's what people do. They give you that information so that they can feed you to their business. There's so many people that are in the business of giving you a virus and then also selling you the antivirus to fix it. You see it all the time. Pop up, hey, you've been infected, 32,000 files. Click here and we'll clean it up. It's only $200. Not a bad deal. Inside jobs, disgruntled employees. Is anybody here currently disgruntled? Yeah, that guy totally is. Does anybody know anybody that's ever been disgruntled? How many times have you seen somebody let go or just hate their job and the things they say when they're walking around the office scare you to death? Like, if you see the people I work with, this is a very real problem. So disgruntled employees, they already have all the access. There's pretty much nothing you can do to keep them out, but there are ways to mitigate the risk. Does anybody notice a common trend here in the 10 things we just went through? I don't expect you to. That's why I highlighted everything for you. We use the word employee 8 out of 10 times here. Your employees are your number one vulnerability. Viruses can be stopped and detected, and virus definitions can be updated. We have the ability to protect against technology. Now, it's not perfect and it's not bulletproof, but I can put in a better firewall. I can put in better security measures. But the guy that I just hired to do data entry for us has access into my system that I can't necessarily control because he needs to do that for his job. And you're only as strong as your weakest employee. I just made that up. It didn't sound too bad. Now, what I really want to drive home here is how this happens, because I see these talks all the time, and I probably just did it to you. Okay, that sounds great, but what the hell does server scanning mean? Like, I don't care about that, Mike. But the reality is that all of you here are employees. You're not directors of IT. We already went over that. But you have enough information and knowledge to hack the biggest organizations in this world today. And I'm going to show you how that can be done from a specific example. I'm not encouraging you to do this, but understanding that it doesn't take a technical person to do this kind of damage is very important because it's going to show you how weak it can really be. So one of my favorite stories to share is the CIA director hack. Does anybody remember this? It was last year, 2015. Can you guys raise your hands to make me feel good? There you go. Yeah, so the director of the CIA was hacked. If you guys have heard of the CIA, the director sounds like an important position within the CIA. Sounds like that guy has access to some good stuff. So his personal email was compromised, and they were able to use that to get government data because he was a person, right? He sent work emails to himself. He had top secret forms, lots of confidential information, and when it was leaked, they published it. They put it everywhere. It was completely compromised. But let's talk about how they got in, because this was just a 20-year-old kid and his two friends having fun. That's all they did. They actually didn't want money from this guy. They just wanted to prove that they could do this, so they did it. So the first step is that they knew that he was a Verizon user. Verizon's spelled wrong on there. It's the British way of spelling Verizon. So what they did is they did a reverse lookup on the guy's phone number. So they had his phone number. They reverse lookup. Oh, he uses Verizon. So what did they do with that information? That's all they did. Anybody can do a reverse phone lookup. Once they looked up his information, they called Verizon. They said, hey, I'm an employee. They gave him his V code. And you know what V code it was? It was just a made-up number. He just said, hey, my employee ID 982675. I'm locked out of my system. Can you guys look this up for me? I'm on site. I'm trying to get this guy set up. He wasn't asking for a lot, so it seems very okay. He gave me an ID. I'm a busy person. I'm not gonna check and see if it was legit or not. He gave me an ID, so I believe him. So all they did is they exposed things like, here's the guy's backup phone number. So now they have his wireless number, his house phone number, the last four of his debit card. I mean, we don't find that to be sensitive information, do we? I'll read them to you right now. 2848. It's the last four of my debit card. That's on like 100 websites right now. before I even told you, just because I online shop. I'm a person. So that's not bad. They just give them the last four of our debit card, and his account number, his Verizon account number. What's he gonna do with that? Pay their bill? It seems harmless. But this is actually, all of this information is all they needed to get in. So what they did was they call Verizon, hey, it's employee. They get the information. The next step, and don't miss these awesome animations, guys, because this is what I stayed up all night doing. The next step, they call AOL because they know his personal email address is an AOL.com number. So the most surprising part of this whole thing so far is that people use AOL.com still. I know, it's crazy. And for email. So what they do is they call AOL and they say, hey, this is Brennan, that's his last name. They pose as the guy and say, I can't log into my email account. And AOL had the same response. You're still using AOL.com? Sure, we'll help you. So they say, okay, we can reset the password for you, don't worry, because I can't log in. That's my only email, so how to get the password? I'll reset it for you, don't worry. All I need is your phone number, and can you verify the last 4 digits of your credit card number? And they knew that's all they needed. They do that, they give these kids the password. At that point, they now have reset his password to something different. So they log in, they change it to whatever they want, and they get into the email account. They spent 3 days in this guy's email account without him even knowing. What were they looking for? They start digging in. They find out that he was forwarding emails from his government account. They had all his personal information. Basically, if he has an AOL.com email address, we can agree that he's been using it for at least 20 years. So that's 20 years of his personal data compromised. So he picks up on it. He goes, okay, and at this point it's way too late because they saved all that stuff and they published it once he found out too. So he goes in there and, hey, I can't log in. So what's he do? Reset password. He has information. He resets it. So these kids see it instantly. Hey, your password's been reset. So they reset it again. They call up AOL. Hey, I forgot my password again. They did this 3 times and just racing back and forth. Probably drove the guy crazy. But that's when he realized something happened. Like, look, this isn't normal. And when he finally calls AOL, they're like, hey, I just talked to you. Have we just reset this for you? Because that wasn't me. So he knows something's up. He deletes his account altogether. But think about this. Director of CIA. He can't just, if it's me, I delete my account, and you guys know my kids watch Nick Jr., and that I spend way too much money on Amazon Prime. This is director of CIA. He has to report it to the CIA. I've been compromised. They delete it. They start looking into it. What do these kids do? They go online, they start tweeting out pictures of all the security forms that he filled out. We're talking social security numbers, his clearances, passwords. So everything he had in his email, they start tweeting it out because they didn't want anything. They just wanted to prove that they could do it, and that was their payoff. But all of us are capable of tackling this. They didn't have to use any encryption software or have to install any viruses on your computer. They just called people and exploited their jobs, their processes. So I don't want to eat up too much more of your time. So let's talk real quick. What does this mean? What do we got to do? How can you go back to your business today and immediately start being safer? And so I got 5 tips here. I'm happy to talk to you afterwards. Anti-malware. We didn't talk about that today, but is everybody familiar with ransomware? It's the scariest stuff you'll ever see. It gets on your computer, locks all your files, and says, if you ever want to see pictures of your kids again, I need $100. And then you're going to type in $100 on who knows what website, hoping that you'll get those baby pictures back. And guess what? I'll pay $100 for that. I don't want to lose that. It's the only copy I have. So ransomware it's one of the biggest personal threats today. But when it gets into your system, as a business, the price tag goes way up. Hey, guess what? You now can't access any of your files at all in the entire company. And how much does it cost you to lose every hour of business, right? Boom, you just lost 20 grand. You just lost 40 grand. We're 5 hours into this. IT says there's nothing we can do. The files are encrypted. You just lost $100,000 just looking at it. They say, well, just give us 20, we'll unlock it. And a business will pay that. If you have to go through an entire day of nobody in your office being able to work, you'll pay $20,000. You'll be desperate. So anti-malware helps. Ransomware is kind of its own beast. I don't want to say that that's going to stop it because it won't, but something to think about. But that leads me into my next one, regular backups. The only bulletproof solution here is if something does happen, that you can roll back to before it happened. So backing up everything that's mission critical is essential. You have to do it. And treat this on a personal level as well. If you get hacked and your files are locked, do you just want to be able to roll back to the day before? Or do you want to be talking to some guys overseas, pleading with him with your credit card number, trying to figure it out? Stronger passwords. We talked about this. I'll show you an example in a minute, but passwords are weak. You need to make sure that you use strong passwords. Information security policy. So this is more than just having one. I know plenty of big businesses that have an information security policy. It's updating and reinforcing. If you don't know what's in that policy and you're not actively enforcing it, then you're going to be out of luck. Because if it says we need to train employees on security twice a year, you need to do it. And if you don't, when something happens, somebody loses their job. Because the guy that wrote the policy says, I put it in the policy, it was his job to enforce it. And training. I already told you, employees are your biggest weakness. So if we train them to be safer, we can mitigate a lot of this risk. You're not going to get rid of it. I mean, if you saw it on the earlier slide, a Verizon study found that 1 in 4 employees, 100% of the time in this study, 100% of the time would click on a bad link in an email, a phishing email. So like it was a 100% success rate when they sent out a certain email to their study group. Training them to identify things like that is the only way you can stop that click. Now, after they click it, there might be things your system can do, but the only way to prevent the click is to educate your employees. So 2012, LinkedIn was hacked. You guys can already see it, but it's humorous. So of all that data that was breached, it was like 500,000 records or something like that. The most popular password used was 123456. The second most popular password was LinkedIn, very original. The third was password. 2014 is called the year of the hack. We lost over 1 billion personal records between Home Depot, Sony, JP Morgan, eBay, and a few others. And AT&T sneaking in there because I added them. So what can we do? And the cool thing is that in Pittsburgh, we're a technology hub, and there's lots of businesses here that can help you. So one is information security education. That's our business. It's online training that doesn't suck. Hopefully it's a little bit more entertaining than the speech today. But the goal is hey, you can train your employees to look for the things that we talked about. We cover everything in that, at least everything in that list of 10 items. And you can train them in under an hour to be safe, and you can monitor their progress and roll this solution out in 5 minutes. We have a booth over there. Feel free to visit us. Beyond employee training, the next thing you can do, backup services and even IT services, right? So I put backup on here because that's the one I care about the most here. There's managed IT services all throughout here. Go talk to them. I have a few friends I can introduce you to. Jim's right up front here. Talk to them. Back up your stuff on a regular basis because that's the only bulletproof thing. Everything else will have some failure rate. Backing it up is the only bulletproof one. Penetration testing is not only fun to say, but it's also super important because you have systems in place. And what these kinds of companies are going to do is that they're going to test, can I get into your system? AT&T has a booth right over there. They do penetration testing. There's another Pittsburgh-based company, Ethical Intruder. They do that. They look at your Wi-Fi. They look at your applications, and they do technical hacks. So they're not going through your employees like what we care about. They're going through your systems and seeing where their failure is. Last one, cool company that we met. They're based up in Cranberry, so Red Morph. And none of them even know they're in this presentation. These are free, unsolicited advertisements for these people. Red Morph is cool. When you go on a website like Amazon, Mike talked about it when he was presenting. Hey, people also bought this. You may be interested in this. I can't stand when my wife uses my Amazon account to look for something like she needs a new thermos or a mug, and then every website I'm on for the next week tells me, hey, did you want to buy that mug? We still have that mug. You guys should buy it. That's not an accident. Every website I'm on now knows I'm looking for a mug. So Red Morph helps prevent things like that. They block your traffic, they block your scanning, makes you faster, and keeps your information on your computer. So thank you. You can follow us on Twitter at ISE_labs. I now have a professional Twitter account that I'm proud of, at Michael Stafiej. The old one had way more followers, but it was just used to bash companies and get free stuff. And then informationsecurityeducation.com is our website. If you're interested in employee training, we'll talk to you at the booth, but you can actually sign up and get that training rolled out in under 5 minutes. Any questions?
So when my company goes to like 101 employees, my risk goes down by 30% again?
Your risk doesn't go down, but hopefully your bank account's high enough that you can actually afford that a little bit more. But what will happen if your bank account keeps increasing and you hire more people, then you'll put more into your kind of preventative measures. Now, I think you guys are already doing a great job with your preventative measures. At least I hope so, because that's what you sell. But yeah, so once your company gets bigger, ideally you're investing into things like we're talking about today to help mitigate the chance of losing $36,000.